So we're going to talk about the impeachment real quick. Yes. And here, I love. So they've been predicting Trump's demise since he took office. This is from December. This is from December of last year. This guy says this.
I'm going to say something tonight I haven't said before. I've been talking about the Russia investigation for nearly 2 years now, since I went on the Intel Committee. But in light of what happened today, in light of all the events of the last couple of weeks and all the sentencing memos that have been filed, now 36 indictments, 3 prison terms, and the like, I'm prepared to say something I've never said. The writing's on the wall, the walls are closing in, and this is the beginning of the end for the Trump.
The writing's on the wall, the walls are closing in, and this is the beginning of the end. I fucking love it.
Bingo. That is bingo. You know, that's all 3.
That's it. He got them all. Yeah. So
kudos to Nathan Lane.
So here is their these are the big 2 witnesses they had for the impeachment hearings, right? So that was Ambassador Taylor, right? He said he knew a guy who overheard the conversation, and it turns out this was the guy. He said he knew that overheard, and so he said when he testified, this guy here, Ambassador, he was their first witness. He was the first bombshell witness, and his testimony was that he knew for certain that the military aid to Ukraine would not be released until the president of Ukraine first made a public statement that they were investigating Biden and Burisma, and then B, actually did investigate Biden and Burisma. That guy said that. He knew, he was certain that that would not, well, the aid did get released, and those 2 things didn't happen. And so Jim Jordan asked him, how did you know that? What made you so certain, even though it wasn't true? And he goes, well, I was told by this guy, by Sondland. This guy told me that. That's why I believed it. So watch this. So I showed you this in a video already. So Jim Jordan then asks him, well, do you know what Sondland said about his testimony? How he told you? This is what he said.
Made to his testimony that we got a couple weeks ago. It says, declaration of Ambassador Gordon Sondland. I, Gordon Sondland, do hereby swear and affirm as follows. I want you to look at point number 2, bullet point number 2, second sentence. Ambassador Taylor recalls that Mr. Morrison told Ambassador Taylor that I told Mr. Morrison that I conveyed this message to Mr. Yarmak on September 1st, 2019 in connection with Vice President Pence's visit to Warsaw and a meeting with President Zelensky. Now, this is his clarification. Let me read it one more time. Ambassador Taylor recalls that Mr. Morrison told Ambassador Taylor that I told Mr. Morrison that I conveyed this message to Mr. Yarmak on September 1st, 2019 in connection with Vice President Pence's visit to Warsaw and a meeting with President Zelensky.
Whoa. And what do you say, Steph?
Who's on third?
Yeah, so that was their star witness. Turns out, and he keeps going, watch this.
We got 6 people having 4 conversations in 1 sentence, and you just told me this is where you got your clear understanding. Which, I mean, even though you had 3 opportunities with President Zelensky for him to tell you, you know what? We're going to do these investigations to get the aid. Didn't tell you 3 different times. Never makes an announcement, never tweets about it, never does a CNN interview. Ambassador, you weren't on the call, were you? The president, you didn't listen on President Trump's call and President Zelensky's call?
I did not.
You've never talked with Chief of Staff Mulvaney?
I never did.
You never met the president?
That's correct.
You had 3 meetings again with Zelensky and it didn't come up.
And 2 of those they had never heard about as far as I know. There was no reason to.
President Zelensky never made an announcement. This is what I can't believe, and you're their star witness.
So that's how it went last week. So that's how it went the first week. It's a joke. It's a joke. But if you watched how it was reported in the press, it was a completely different story. Like we're living in 2 different worlds. The press was like bombshell, bombshell, bombshell. Right? Do you remember this? Yeah. Bombshell. This, and I watched other YouTube shows not report this part. I've seen other YouTube shows report on the impeachment, report the bombshell, and then leave this fucking part out. Can you fucking, what is the point of doing a YouTube show if you're not there to blow a hole in the mainstream media's fucking bullshit? That's what it's all about. But I want to say thank you to those other YouTube shows for leaving me this huge lane to tell the fucking truth. Okay, thank you.
Jimmy,
so that's the truth.
I think the OPCW did report that there was a bombshell.
So here's this week, and now Sondland came in and testified. Bombshell. It's a bombshell. Here's a bombshell. You want to hear his bombshell? Here it is. There's the bomb. Here it is.
I know that members of this committee frequently frame these complicated issues in the form of a simple question. Was there a quid pro quo? As I testified previously, with regard to the requested White House call and the White House meeting, the answer is yes.
That's a bombshell. The answer is yes. And who knew about it? Everybody knew about it.
Everyone was in the loop.
Everybody.
It was no secret. Everyone was informed via email on July 19th, days before the presidential call.
Sounds like a slam dunk. Sounds like a bombshell. So he knows for certain, and everyone knew it was a quid pro quo. Well, so Adam Schiff's going to ask him directly. Tell me about it.
President Trump claimed to you there was no quid pro quo. He also made it clear to you in that call that President Zelensky had to, quote, clear things up and do it in public. You don't have a reason to dispute. That's what you
I don't have any reason to dispute the clear things up and do it in public. What I'm trying to be very clear about was President Trump never told me directly that the aid was tied to that statement.
But in that same conversation you had with him about the aid, about the quid pro quo, he told you that President Zelensky had to, quote, clear things up and do it in public, correct?
I did not have a conversation with him about the aid. I had a conversation with him, as referenced in my text, about quid pro quo.
Well, the quid pro quo you were discussing was over the aid, correct?
No. President Trump, when I asked him the open-ended question, as I testified previously, what do you want from Ukraine? His answer was, I want nothing. I want no quid pro quo. Tell Zelensky to do the right thing. That's all I got from President Trump.
Wah, wah. And so why did he think this? Why did he think there was a quid pro quo? That he said in open testimony that he was sure of it and everybody knew. Where did it come from?
No one on this planet told you that President Trump was tying aid to investigations. Yes or no?
Yes.
So no one told him that he was tying the aid to investigations. Is that true? True. Nobody told him. Nobody told him. So where'd you get that from?
So, you really have no testimony today that ties President Trump to a scheme to withhold aid from Ukraine in exchange for these investigations.
Other than my own presumption.
Which is nothing.
And so, I don't know if you watched MSNBC or CNN or ABC or what. They didn't fucking tell you this story. They told you the other story. Bombshell, this is it. The end of the Republican Party. How are they going to defend him now? They're not going to do the rule of law. Nobody fucking showed you this. I haven't watched the other YouTube shows yet, but I don't know if they showed you this part. But I bet they didn't. It's fucking unbelievable. I'll throw it to my panel. This is ridiculous. This is again the Democrats. Hey, we spent 3 years pushing Russiagate, which only made Trump stronger. I guess we can't get any worse. Hold my beer. Now we're going to do an impeachment inquiry that exposes the frontrunner in the Democratic primary as being fucking totally corrupt, doing soft corruption. Like a pussy.
Soft, hair-sniffing corruption. And also, while this is happening, oh, that's right, the Democratic Congress just extended the Patriot Act.
Graham, hang on, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
But first I want to show you this. This is how the media reported that testimony. You ready? This is how they reported it.
Now we know that every fantasy about how corrupt this administration is actually true.
Which just goes to show you also that the media is sitting there fantasizing about how corrupt the president can be. That's really what he just revealed there. That they sit around, oh, he's so corrupt. Oh. Every fantasy they, Ukraine.
Live coverage of the blowtorch testimony this morning.
Blowtorch. That wasn't even a fucking, that wasn't even a sparkler, okay? Blowtorch, they said. Blowtorch.
From Gordon Sondland, turns out to be the guy who has offered the most stunning testimony.
In addition to that, and the bombshells we've heard about, this was an IED from Mr. Sondland.
It's an IED from Sondland. This is how they're reporting it.
Said taking a blowtorch to every defense Donald Trump has offered. We don't say this very often anymore because it's rarely true, but I think today changed everything.
Jimmy, this is a Tomahawk missile made proudly here in the United States by the good people of Raytheon, sponsors of the program.
Every time another gate happens and they have a hearing, it just looks like the most boring roast I've ever seen in my life. That's what these end up being like. And so go ahead, Malcolm. Now I know you're pro-impeachment now, right? Are you pro-impeachment? Because
Well,
I'm pretty
initially
sure I
was-
had a text message with you
Yes.
where you and Steve-O were pro-impeachment, and I fucking dragged you pretty hard for that stupidity. But
I think you alleged that I was just trying to curry favor with my bosses at the Young Turks.
that is exactly what I said.
Which I appreciate your crediting me with integrity and for thinking independently for myself. I was skeptical of the impeachment initially, and then I was like that distracted boyfriend meme when Joe Biden got dragged in and there was corruption for Hunter Biden was exposed, and I was like, oh wait, the Democrats might get exposed here? Oh, other corruption? Well, now I'm intrigued. And my hope is that Donald Trump becomes so enraged by this process that he becomes even more unhinged and begins to expose the Democrats, the Republicans, and everybody, and everything comes down. I admit that the odds of this are not great. But
The crowd seems to like this bullshit theory of yours, whatever it is.
But it's not like otherwise the Democrats would be pushing for the Green New Deal. So let's be realistic.
Yeah, I am realistic. And I know you're pushing for impeachment and you're trying to fucking muddy the waters here in front of this crowd. And I want to expose you so bad.
But isn't that what I told you before? And you said, weak sauce.
Yeah, that's exactly.
You were underwhelmed.
I was underwhelmed. But again, and the point was, and what I was making the point to you and Steve-O, is if you guys really oppose Trump and you really want to get rid of him, again, this is the worst way to do it. If you want to oppose Trump, this only makes Trump stronger. Right? The poll finds sharp swinging up. This is during the hearings. As they're putting on their case that's supposed to fucking blow the roof off everything and get the public behind impeachment, it's actually going the other way. It's going the other way. More importantly, the poll shows more independents now oppose impeachment than support it. A significant change from Emerson's polling in October. The new poll found 49% oppose impeachment compared to 34% who support it. In October, 48% of independents polled supported impeachment against 39% who opposed it. And guess what? Since October, Emerson has found Trump's job approval rating up 5 points. So this is actually helping him again, just like Russiagate helped him. His numbers are actually going up during the impeachment hearings.
The polls are tough to pick up on because I thought I saw a poll just last week saying 51% of Americans polled wanted him removed from office. I mean, I'm asking this seriously. Like I find the polls dizzying because I'm unclear as to what poll is the real poll as to whether or not these impeachment proceedings are having any impact at all.
I'll say this, like the way to beat Trump, man, this is such bullshit. You're giving him campaign fodder. Here's how you beat Trump. You actually have, I don't know, progressives with populist platforms like Bernie and Tulsi. If they were the ticket, they would be unbeatable, man, because here's what you do. You go into red states and you go, we're going to give you free health care, student debt forgiveness, end these bullshit wars that people in the middle of the country, it's their kids that went and fought the wars, not fucking rich Hollywood kids who parents cheated their way into fucking USC. None of those. No one at Harvard Westlake had a fucking recruiter on their fucking campus. Let me tell you that right now. You go to these red states and you say we, and you point out all of Trump's failures. Don't say Russia. Say $1.5 trillion bailout to his rich feds. How are we going to pay for that? That is the amount of money that student debt forgiveness would be. Trump said, why are we in Afghanistan? He's doubled the troop count. Call him out for all of his bullshit and fucking give policies and platforms that, I don't know, the majority of Americans could fucking benefit from. Get an electoral landslide, which is what you would get with Bernie and Tulsi, and then you put this cocksucker to bed.
Yeah. So they keep saying you have to go after the center, these independents, these Trump voters. That's how you got to win. You got to go after these moderate Republicans and get them. Why Hillary Clinton lost was because black and brown people would not come out to vote for her in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. That's what fucking happened to her, okay? They would not get off the house. People who voted for Barack Obama twice would not come out and vote for Hillary Clinton. A, because she was for TPP, which took their job away, and they did the crime bill, which put half of their fucking people in jail also. So that's a big. So now, if we go in, who do we got to get? We got to get the black and brown people off the couch to vote for the Democrat in Michigan and Wisconsin. Guess what? Pete Buttigieg, 0 fucking black support. 0. He has to manufacture pretend. Elizabeth Warren, 0 fucking black support, okay? So if you run Elizabeth Warren or Pete Buttigieg, you're gonna fucking lose again, especially in Wisconsin and Michigan. Bernie Sanders is the guy who's gonna win that contest. That's what's gonna happen, right?
Kamala
And of
Harris
course-
put 120,000 people of color behind fucking bars. She
I
can't
know.
even get that vote. That's why the 3/4 of the gang endorsed it. That's why
Yes.
Killer Mike, Cardi B,
Yes.
everybody's fucking endorsing him because he's got the best policy.
And so they all, when they say, oh, we have to get a candidate who appeals to the moderates, well, guess who does that? Tulsi Gabbard. There's a lot of Trump voters who like her non-interventionist policies, a lot of libertarians who like her non-interventionist policy, a lot of independents who like her non-interventionist policy. She does that thing that they say the Democrats have to do, and she's the one person they don't want any fucking thing to do. So they don't want anything to do with Tulsi, and they don't want anything to do with Bernie. The two people who can win this fucking race, the Democrats would rather lose to Donald fucking Trump than win with the progressive, and that's a fact.
Yeah, when the greatest recruiting tool that ever happened for Tulsi was Hillary Clinton calling
Yes.
her out. Tulsi got all this free airtime calling Hillary Clinton a warmonger. You don't think center-right people went, oh, fuck, now I'll vote for this chick. She's going to call out Hillary Clinton? I'm in. She would unify the whole fucking country. That fucking ticket would unify the country. It would be an electoral landslide. They would win Texas, which is the equivalent of a Republican winning California.
Yes. So if you want to see, this is funny. Somebody put this together. All the criminal prosecutions. Nixon wins. He had 76 indictments, 55 criminal convictions, 15 prison sentences. Next is Reagan. Reagan had 8 prison sentences, 16 criminal convictions, 26 indictments, and then next is Bush, of course, and then Obama, none, and then Trump. So if you go by the most, so he's at least third right now. So we got 2 ahead of him: Nixon, Nixon, Reagan, Bush. So that's 3. So he's 4th. So he's the 4th most corrupt guy in modern times. I just want to say that. Okay, that doesn't get me any subscribers, but I just want to say that. Come see our live show. We're going to be in Honolulu on December 27th. We'll be in Portland, Oregon, and then we go to Tempe, Arizona, San Jose, California, Sacramento, Miami. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all the tickets for all our live shows coming to a town near you, and become a patron or support the Jimmy Dore Show. We give you hours of bonus material every week. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com, become a premium member. Thanks for your support.